Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have a lot to talk about, okay? So I'm a little early with this video because I know typically this type of video is done at the end of the year or at the beginning of a new year. But I want to get a head start on this list now. You can see kind of all the little books that I have sitting here that we're going to be talking about in this video. So rather than babbling on and just talking out of my ass, let's just jump into the video. So this video is going to be the 26-ish books that I want to read before the end of 2026. I also, before we continue, I want to preface this by saying these are just the 26 books that I have listed that I want to get to before the end of 2026. It does not mean that I'm not going to venture off from these books. I am going to be reading books outside of these 26-ish books, but these are definitely like highest top tier on my priority list. First and foremost, we have Luca by Gray Huffington. Now, this has been on my TBR. I picked this up because of Shaughnessy. Now, I had seen it circulating YouTube and Booktok for a little while, but Shaughnessy was the one that kind of like sold the deal for me because the way that she explained this man, okay, this man I need some of that. I need some of that immediately. Then we have Sia by Eden O'Neill. Now this one, this is inspired by Anastasia. And if you know anything, I mentioned this in a previous video, and I'll put another little picture up here like I did in the previous video. But this being inspired by that movie and that princess, I cannot wait to get to this. Not only that, but Eden O'Neill has been on my For You page on TikTok for forever now. I just haven't bit the bullet to actually purchase any of her books yet, and it's definitely high up on my priority list. I wanted to start with this though because my shelves are so full. I wanted to start with this, see how I like it, and then if I end up enjoying this book, I'll end up buying her whole backlog. But for the time being, I think it would be so fun to do a video where I read this other book that I have. It's a YA book, and it's kind of like a spin-off or an inspired by Anastasia. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this book is like the great granddaughter or the granddaughter of the Princess Anastasia, if I remember correctly. So I thought it would be so fun to eventually do a video where I read Sia and then I read that book and watch the movie. Like the vibes would be vibing, okay? Number 3 is a Booktok OG. 3-4 years ago when I first started my reading journey, and about 2 years ago ish, 3 years ago ish, when I started my YouTube channel, this book was everywhere. And this is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I even have the OG cover because this book was circulating everywhere. It was one of the first books that came across my screen on TikTok and on BookTube, because BookTube, if you know anything about my journey with reading and as an adult, it was BookTube that kind of got me back into reading. I happened to be up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. YouTube was in the background on autoplay, and the video just happened to be a BookTube video. And so this was one of the books that was spoken about in that video, and I picked it up, and I still have not read it. So this is definitely high up on the list for 2026. Book number 4 is a book that was recommended to me by a well-trusted recommender, book talker on TikTok, and that is The Wallflower by Sally Louise. And I'm going to put the book talker's name right here. Sabrina is everything. If you're not following her on there, you definitely should. She has all the recs, all the diversity, everything and more. So definitely give her a follow and check out her page. But she recommended this book. I had to pick it up immediately. She's one of those where when I look at her TikToks, as soon as she recommends a book, I'm having to pick it up. I'm having to actually like restrain myself from picking up every single book that she recommends, because she be reading like 20 books a month. And when she does her little wrap ups, I be writing my notes and adding books to my TBR. So I have to restrain myself from getting them all. But this was one that she recommended that I just had to pick up. She mentioned that this one was a very wholesome, very sweet romance. She is a bit of a thickie, and I haven't heard too much about this. She's like the only person that I've seen that has talked about this book. So I'm going to go ahead and add this as book number 4. Now, when I was saying 26-ish, number 5 is the reason why. We've got one more example of this. So In this case, we have a duology or a duet, and that's why I say 26-ish because I'm including this as one. So this is book number 5, and it is Saving Scarlet and Keeping Caroline. This is by C.A. Varian. This is her dark romance. She has a lot of different books in her catalog. She's got fantasy, she's got dark romance, etc., etc. And these were one of the first books that I picked up by her. Book number 6, okay? A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. Now, she has a lot of sports romances, which I have a few of her sports romances on my shelf. But this one right here, I have heard that this is such a moving and emotional story. It is a best friends to lovers romance, and I have not heard a single bad thing about this book. And I need to know what it's all about. So, number 6, A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. Now, number 7 is technically an entire series, but I'm only going to put book number 1 just because I want to be able to start the series before the end of 2026. I have a lot of books on my shelves. I got a lot of books on my TBR, and so I'm not going to put the pressure on myself to finish the entire series before the end of 2026. It's a very good possibility because this is another series I've heard nothing but amazing things about, but we shall see. I'm going to give myself book 1, and that is Lessons in Corruption by Gianna Darling. This is the Fallen Men series. It is a motorcycle club series. And need I say more? Because motorcycle club and me go together real bad. Now, number 8 is a new release, okay? And this is an author that's new to me, and that is Lexi Axelson's Mariposa. Now, this is a dark military romance, okay? And first of all, this cover. Second of all, I've heard amazing things about this. And so it has to be number 8 on this list. Number 9 on this list is a kind of a random one, but I'm really excited to get into this one because it was actually recommended to me by a family member. And that is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. Now, this was actually recommended to me by my Nana. And let me tell you, she told me that she finished this book in 2 days. Y'all, this book is almost 1,000 pages long. Okay, I know it doesn't look like that based off of this very, very floppy and satisfying paperback. I actually bought a few different editions of this book just because I wanted to have a little bit of a collection of these, and I also got some for used prices and really, really good on Pango and Mercari. If you're not using Pango and Mercari, I definitely highly recommend. But I bought the paperback specifically so that I could read this one and then collect the others. But there's also a movie for this book. Another fun idea for a vlog would be to read the book and then go ahead and watch the movie. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be on my Nana's type of time and actually finish it in 2 days because this is a 1,000-page book. Okay, 1,000 pages. Okay, and again, I know it doesn't look like it based off of how skinny the book is, but it's very deceiving. Okay, babes, it's very, very deceiving. Number 10, she's iconic. Okay, she's iconic, and I am ashamed. If I had a stack of shame, if this was a stack of shame video, this book would be on it because I've had this book on my bookshelf for such a long time, and I have no excuse as to why I haven't gotten to it yet. And that is the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. I don't even need to say anything more about this. I really, really, really don't. Number 11 is another Booktok booktube staple, OG. And when I say OG, I mean like 2, 3, 4 years ago. And that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This one was someone that was circulating around the time when I first got onto Booktok and Booktube. And I will say, I've heard this is a very moving story, that this is very emotional, and that the character goes through quite a bit. And I think I am the last person on earth to finish this book, so I had to add this onto this list. Now, number 12 is going to be a blast from the past, but it is a Booktok and a Booktube favorite, okay? And that is Nightingale by Miss Kristen Hanna. Now, the reason why I say that this is a blast from the past is because I did actually read a lot of books with my mother when I was a teenager, and Kristen Hanna was on that backlog along with Jodi Picoult, but that's a story for another day. Now, number 13 is also contributing to my ish of the 26-ish, okay? And that is the 2 remaining books in the series by Kennedy Ryan. Now, I have read Before I Let Go, and I absolutely love it. I ate it up. There is a vlog up on my channel, so if you haven't seen that, I'll go ahead and put the picture up here and also link it down in the description box. But can't get enough, and This Could Be Us. The only reason why I have not read these two books yet is because I'm just waiting for the hype to die down. I've been prioritizing indie authors here recently, and I love Miss Kennedy Ryan, but I knew that they were going to have their moment when the time was right. And sometime in 2026, the time will be right. I know for a fact that I am the last person on earth to have read these two books and to finish the series. But you know what? That's okay. That is absolutely okay. Now, number 14 is just a little bit intimidating, but it's on my aspirational TBR, and that is the love songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. Now, look at how thick this book is. And that is why I am intimidated to pick this one up. I've heard wonderful, wonderful things about this. The book itself is absolutely beautiful. Um, and I hope to get to this before the end of 2026. Now, number 15 is another thickie. Okay, we're going to see a common theme because there's a lot of thick books that are remaining in the stack, as you can see from the corner over here. But this one is Chloe by J.L. Jefferson. This one was one that Mama D on TikTok had recommended. Now, if you are not following Mama D, I'm going to put her information up here, or put her little picture of her TikTok up here. She is an indie author stan. She is an indie author resource. And if you are not following her on there, but you're looking for new recommendations, you need to be today. You need to be today. Go over to your TikTok, go over to your Instagram and follow her because she is constantly, constantly spoiling us with new indie authors, new indie author recs and reviews, etc., etc. She's constantly putting new indie authors on her platform and just such a good resource to the book space. And so she recommended this book. It is a chunker, but she did say that this one was really, really emotional, really, really moving, and I can just tell by the cover itself. Now, number 16, I am so stinking excited for this one. I have no excuses as to why I haven't gotten to it yet, but I read book 1 and loved it, so I needed to one not only pick up book 2 but eventually get to it before the end of 2025. It's looking like it might be the end of 2025, and that is Her Too by Xochitl Garcia again. Now, as y'all know, Her one, and I'll put a little picture of it up here, and I've reviewed it on my YouTube channel. I've also reviewed it on my TikTok, but that book was a 5-star read for me. Okay, I loved that book so much. I think when I initially read the book, I gave it 4.5, but then after time went on, I was like, you know what, it's a 5. It's a 5 for me because the book is short, but it packs a punch. And then this book follows 2 other characters in that story that we meet in that story. And I cannot be more excited. I cannot be more excited. And like I said, this one will probably be something that I read honestly prior to 2026. It's probably going to be something I read before the end of the year. And that's why I'm making this video now, because I know that there are going to be some of these books that I'm going to get to before the end of this year. All right, now book 17 is After Hours by Jada West, another indie author, someone that's pretty slept on. I haven't seen too much of her books circulating on TikTok, but let me tell y'all, I've heard wonderful, wonderful things about this book. I actually saw this one, I believe, on Larry Reed's channel here on YouTube. She was doing an unboxing and saw this book, and I was like, and she received this book, and I was like, you know what? I gotta pick this one up. Book number 18, Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. I do have this whole series, but again, I'm not going to put pressure on myself to read the entire thing in case it's not giving, in case the vibes are not vibing. I'm a mood reader, so I decided to go ahead and stick with just book 1. And I've heard many, many, many wonderful things about this book. Ever since I saw it circulate, it was a cover buy for me, but then seeing the reviews to back it up, we're adding this to the list. Another first book in the series, this is book number 19, and that is Kat T. Mason's Chasing Love. Y'all, this has been on my TBR for like 4 years. Now, I haven't owned a physical copy of the book for the entirety of the 4 years. It's been a little while, but it hasn't been quite 4 years. It's a best friend's older brother, second chance romance. I believe there is something to do with pregnancy in this book, if I remember correctly. And I know that sounds crazy and it don't make no sense, but I guess we're just gonna have to read and find out if it makes any sense. Or to make it make sense. Hear me out. I know that we don't have a whole lot of fantasy on this list, but we're gonna be reading fantasy throughout the next year and couple months. But there is one in particular that I do want to get to before the end of 2026. It's not to say that I won't be reading any other fantasy books, because it's definitely going to be a thing. But the one that I have here on my like top tier, like I absolutely have to get to these before the end of 2026, is A Dance in Time by JC Hidalgo and Michael M. Johnson. Now, I am mutuals with Michael Johnson on TikTok. And so, with that being said, I saw that he had a book and I really wanted to get it in support. Now, I am a little intimidated, and he knows this because I reached out to him when I told him I was going to be picking up the book, because I have just started to dip my toe into fantasy. Okay, I am not an expert. The world building part, I'm still a little worried about. I've had a pretty decent experience with it so far, but I am no expert, babes. Okay, and so because of that, I really want to get through this book next year, sometime next year. I'm a little scared. Okay, I am a little bit scared, but we're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna read a few other books before I get to this book, just to kind of prepare myself a little bit and get myself a little more well-rounded with fantasy before jumping into a chunker like this. That is the one fantasy that we do have on this list, but again, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be reading other fantasy books throughout the next year and a couple months. Now, the remaining 6 books on this list. So, Moments with You by Ocean Waters. Now, let me tell y'all, this would be another book that would be on a stack of shame list, because I've had this book for a little while now. I was supposed to read it last summer and then life happened, right? So we are definitely getting to this one. This one is also going to be probably one of those ones that's being read before the end of 2025, because I am so excited to get to this. Now, this is more of a blind buy because I wanted to go into her work as blindly as possible. Her reviews, people that have spoken about this book, that have given reviews, have nothing but amazing things to say about her books. And on top of that, her books are very hard to get a hold of. You can't find them in bookstores, you can't find them on Amazon, you can't find them like on Barnes and Noble, you can't find them anywhere. You have to reach out to her directly to get these books. Okay, so that all of those things combined, I I cannot wait to get into this. Now, her books are chonkers, okay? They are chonkers, and I've heard that they are very moving, very emotionally pulling, and I just can't wait for the experience. I cannot wait for the experience. So this will definitely be a book I read before the end of 2025, but we're going to be adding this to this list. Number 22. Okay, again, another series that I feel like I am the last person on earth to have read this series, but it's with purpose, okay? And that is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Essentially the entire series, but again, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself to read the entire series if it's not giving in that moment. So we're just going to put the first one on the list. Now, the reason why I have not read this book yet, and if you have been watching me for a little while, you might be able to guess why. I like to wait for the hype of things to die down. I also know that she wasn't fully finished with the series, and I still think to this day she might not be fully finished with the series. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, but this book, I didn't want to start it until the hype started to die down. And not to say that books aren't hyped after like the hype. You feel me? Like there's still really really good books according to what everyone is saying, and they're always beloved. But I don't like to read these books when things are circulating on the internet regularly, whether it's circulating on TikTok regularly, especially if they're traditionally published and they're everywhere. I feel like those are the books that I can put off. Those are the books that I can prioritize less and prioritize indie authors more. And so books like this, I always try to end up putting them off, and read them when I get to them and when there's not as much information being circulated around them. A few different reasons as to why I do that, not only because of the hype itself, but also because of potential spoilers. I like to go into my books as blind as possible. In a lot of cases, I do look at like the synopsis of books, or look at people that are explaining books and explaining why they love them, or doing a review, a spoiler-free review. When it comes to me actually sitting down and reading the book, when I'm actually ready to do that, when it specifically comes to the hype books, the ones that are everywhere, I like to have forgotten a little bit about what really the book is about. I know that this is technically either YA or they're like college kids. They're like really young. And I know that there's like a lot of emotional things that happen to these characters, but that's about it. I don't know anything else. Now, this next book, okay, there is a justified reason as to why I have not picked up this book yet, because I know for a fact, I believe with all every fiber of my being that this book will actually end up being a 6-star read. Every person that I have spoken to about this book has said that this book is going to completely change my standard of reading, and that is the reason why I have put it off. I am trying to get through as many books as possible before getting to this book, for the sole purpose of I know that it's going to warp my reading experience forever. It is going to forever change my reading experience. And I want to be prepared for that, but to give other books a chance, okay? Like that's really what it comes down to. And that is Miss L. Casson's Demon's Dream, okay? Because I have not heard a single bad thing about this book, but even more so, I haven't heard anything less than a raving review about this chunker of a book. It is a chunker. It's like 700 pages plus, okay? But every single person that has read this book has flown through it because of how well the writing is, the storyline, the plot twist, anything and everything to do with this book. I've heard nothing but absolutely phenomenal things about this book. And again, so many people that I follow on TikTok specifically, because Bookstagram is all right, but I really be on TikTok, and every person has said that this is going to forever change my brain chemistry when it comes to reading books. And that is the reason why I have not read it yet. From what I gather, after reading this book, there's going to be no book that's going to compare to this book. Now, number 24 is Miss Lauren Lacey's An Auto by Author for Me. This is her second to newest release as of recording this video, and it is The World Around Us. This was a new series. We have known about this for forever. If you've been following Miss Lauren Lacey, you've known about this book forever. She's been teasing it since around the time of her close to finishing the Beverly Mills series. So this is definitely something that I want to get to. I did purchase it a little while ago, and I am excited to eventually get to this. Number 25. Okay, number 25, All In by Z Renee, another one that I've heard amazing things about. This is a sports romance, and that was honestly all that I really knew about it when I purchased it, and also the wonderful things that people say about this book. This is the first book. There is another book, Troubled Waters, that I do want to eventually get to as well, but this one is the one that I'm putting on the list. Last but certainly not least, another one that is going to change my brain chemistry is Losing Control by Lady Nisha. This is one of her most popular books. I do have a few others by her. I have 2 other books by her, and she has a whole backlog, okay? But this is the one that I wanted to put on this list. I've heard amazing things about this book, okay? I've heard wonderful, wonderful things about this book. Another one that I might get to before the end of this year. Definitely no pressure to do so. I'm not pressuring myself to do so. That when the time is right, the time is right, okay? And one thing about me is I am a mood reader, so when the mood is right, the vibe will be right. You feel me? So those are the 26 books that I want to get to before the end of 2026. As always, thank y'all for watching and hearing me chat about the thing I love the most, which is books. If you like this video, like and comment down below. If there's any of these books that are on your TBR, let me know down below. If you've read any of these books without spoiling anything, put your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.